Scotty from Columbus, Georgia. With AEW just wrapping up their Canadian tour last month, and WWE currently in the middle of theirs, what would be your top 5 favorite matches from any promotion to take place in Canada? So I thought about this, and this is what I came up with. These would be my top 5 matches held in Canada, and I'm just going to list them in date order. I'm not ranking them. Mine would be Hulk Hogan against the Ultimate Warrior from WrestleMania 6 at the Skydome. That was just such a huge match to a young fan, and to see babyface against babyface title for title in the WrestleMania main event, it was just unheard of at that time. But I don't know that I can adequately explain to people who were not alive back then, who might just look at things from a work rate perspective, like, what? That match sucked. No. To a young fan, that match was a very big deal. Even Edge, we just talked about Edge and his career possibly being over, right? He was in the crowd. Ask Edge, he'll tell you how big of a deal that match was to him. He was a little Hulkamaniac. So that would be one. I would also have to list the 10-man tag at Canadian Stampede, July of 97. Hart Foundation against Stone Cold, Ken Shamrock, Goldust, and LOD. Which is a match that almost looked very different. And as great as this was, it could have been even better if they went with the original lineup, which would have had Shawn Michaels and Sid in there. But even so, that is one of the greatest matches in company history, and one of the greatest crowds in company history. That entire pay-per-view, honestly, is one of the best pay-per-views that they have ever produced. It was a very short show. I think it only had 4 matches. It was like 2 hours long. But yeah, that 10-man tag is definitely going to be, if not at the top of the list, it's going to be on this list. Rock Hogan at the Skydome in Toronto for WrestleMania 18. I mean, need I say more? It's one of my favorite WrestleMania matches of all time. The moment where Hogan, even though he was the heel coming in, the moment he kicked out and did the Hulk up, and you get that shot of the crowd, and Rock is reacting to it perfectly. The big bug eyes, he can't believe it. He's hulking up, and then the Jim Ross call was just the cherry on the sundae, where Hogan drops the leg, and Jim Ross, and there's a reason why, he's the greatest of all time. He has that great line where he beat Andre the Giant with that move. And then Hogan got that near fall, Rock kicked out, and everybody in the background, they couldn't believe it. They got their hands over their faces. Everybody was standing. It was just a work of art. And I've said before, to me, that's a 5-star match. I don't care what Meltzer gave. Meltzer gave it like 3 stars. I don't give a shit. That's a 5-star fucking match, is what that is. DIY against the Revival. Best 2 out of 3 falls for the NXT Tag Team titles. That was the first TakeOver Toronto show they did in 2016. That remains one of the greatest tag team matches that I have ever seen. And Kenny Omega against Will Ospreay at this year's Forbidden Door in Toronto. So all but one of them were held in Toronto. So my apologies to Montreal and Winnipeg and Vancouver. Toronto gets all the love. Matt from Newfoundland, Canada. What do you think of these ideas for potential Dark Side of the Ring episodes? And he lists Ric Flair against Eric Bischoff, which is not bad. That could work, although you're not going to get Flair to sit down for an interview. So that's tough. You might be able to get Bischoff, because Bischoff was on the Bash at the Beach episode this season. I don't know if Bischoff has said he won't do more of these or not, but it's hard if you can't get the parties involved. Not that they wouldn't do it, but I think obviously it would be better if they had Flair. But they could always borrow. I mean, Flair's talked about it so many times in other interviews, though. They always take parts of other interviews, so that wouldn't be impossible. That wouldn't be impossible to think of. Heroes of Wrestling, 1999. One of the worst, if not the worst, event of all time. Yeah, I would say that would make for a pretty good Dark Side of the Ring episode. Art Barr, who has a checkered past. I could see Art Barr. Again, Art Barr is not one of those hugely marketable names, but they've done episodes on guys that are not hugely marketable or weren't really, big stars in WWE. So I don't think they would shy away from Art Barr. I think he could definitely get an episode. Rhonda Singh, a.k.a. Bertha Faye. That one I don't see. and Brian Adams, a.k.a. Crush, who certainly met an early demise. That's pretty dark, and I know he had some legal issues in his career over the years. I don't know about an entire episode, though, devoted to Crush. Maybe, but it wouldn't be high up on the list of episodes I think they would want to do.